everybody, it's Safi and Marco. Dish out on the movies. And today, guess what? We're doing, I think, this is the last one more Texas Chainsaw movie.
No,
it's called Leatherface.
There's one tomorrow.
Oh, God. Well, until the big one.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I mean. So, is that correct?
Yeah, we're finally caught up with the series.
We're all done with all the old, quote, older ones.
We've never reviewed the first one, but we both saw it. I've seen it a million times. Last year I watched it like 50 times. And then we both saw it in the movie theater, actually, a few years ago. And that's when Safi saw it for the first time. And did you like it, Safi?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a horror movie. I thought it was classic.
There were only 2 other people in there. And then at one point in the movie, literally halfway through the movie, there was this irritating group of 10 to 12 people who came in. They were making all this noise. And they went to the back of the theater. And then they were like, "Is this a new Texas Chainsaw?" And they're so fucking stupid that they didn't notice that the ticket said Texas Chainsaw 1974. So they went and they saw Jigsaw instead, and they said that out loud, "Let's go see Jigsaw instead." And it's like, Jigsaw was a piece of shit movie. And then they left. And it was like, oh God, thank God they left. Because they're so fucking stupid. I mean, see, Safi, how that's a problem? How they name movies the same as the original?
Yeah, I don't understand that. I didn't think that was legal, but maybe with your own series?
These idiots,
I don't know.
Literally 10 to 12 people bought tickets to see the original movie because they thought it was a new one, and then they had to go get them refunded, or maybe they just walked into Jigsaw, which, ugh. Okay, Safi.
Okay, well, this is an interesting take on the Texas Chainsaw series. It was called Leatherface, but Marco refers to it as Texas Chainsaw.
No, I don't. That's the other one.
Oh, well, I'm getting confused because we've just seen one after another, and I think they could be compiled in a big book, and each would be its own separate chapter. Although there are so many inconsistencies, they wouldn't relate to one another. But this, what happened was the family, the infamous family with the people who eat people.
What family? What are they called?
Because
you've heard their names a million times,
I know,
Safi.
but I have to move on to the next thing. Is it Carter?
What the fuck?
I don't know. Why don't you say what it is?
No.
Just put it in. Okay,
no.
Well, this infamous family, because the mother is like the devil incarnate.
The mom is really evil. Verna.
Yeah, but it's such a weird name. I can't even get used to it. But they're in trouble in the beginning, and they say they're unfit parents, and they take their kids away. And which is I think just 2 boys. I don't know if there was any more children. And where do they put them? They put them in some kind of like juvenile mental place where they really don't belong. They were the victims of their family. They were being taken away from their parents. So why they were being put in this place when there were other kids who were disturbed and could be killers and really in bad shape mentally. But these kids, I don't know, maybe they were in bad shape, but they really weren't, though, because the technical thing is they were just being taken away from their parents, and they said that. They said, "You are bad parents. We're taking your kids." Oh, I know. And they killed the guy. It was a sheriff, his daughter. And so he was actually punishment. He said, "You took one of mine, I'm taking all of yours." That's what he said to her. And so here they are. We see them in this place a little bit like, months or a year?
And we don't know which one is Jedediah. Because remember, they gave Leatherface a shitty name in this series.
And there's 2 boys,
Jedediah.
too. So, they don't, I don't know, they kind of make it vague on purpose. And truth be told, one of them, and I won't even say what he looks like, but I thought he was the guy the whole time until almost the very end.
Well, I knew the whole time because I heard from other people. I already had it spoiled, but it was pretty obvious that they were misleading you or whatever. And
I was shocked, though.
Yeah, it was shocking. It was cool. I liked that.
I won't say exactly why. I think you guys should just see these movies because really,
no,
you should make your own judgment about what you think about them because it's really a shame that they are inconsistent.
Yeah.
Because if they had made a few tweaks here and there, and not be so selfish about their ownership of the property that they're doing, and just share it a little bit, just a little bit to make it run through all the series and connect. But instead, it's like a roller coaster ride to watch these movies.
The problem is that the people who make these movies are not fans. And for some reason, these studios keep on hiring people who are not fans of the material that they're adapting. And Safi
I don't know if you have to be a fan.
Yeah,
you
do.
Be a responsible writer.
No, you have to be a fan. Or else you have no business writing or directing a Texas Chainsaw movie because as I was going to say before Safi interrupted me, she's going to see, I should say, Uncharted. A movie.
I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
I don't give a crap about Uncharted.
Well, you're
I
going to
haven't
see it
played
anyway.
the game, and I'm not going to. And the movie has no relationship to the game.
You can oogle Tom Holland.
I don't like Tom Holland. He's a little kid.
Yeah, he's a little punk. And that movie, it is a terrible adaptation of the games. It bears no resemblance to the games. Even the people who like it are saying, why are you guys complaining that it's nothing like the games? It's a good movie. And so you have all these things nowadays where people are not fans of the material, and so the movies suffer because of that. Because they don't know what they're writing. They don't know about the characters. It would be like Safi writing a Texas Chainsaw movie instead of me. I mean, which person would you rather have write a Texas Chainsaw movie? Me, obviously, because I've seen the first one many more times, and Safi has only seen it once. So Safi wouldn't even know what to do. I mean, Safi, what would you do?
I would just gather information, but I sure as heck, I would have made it. The information would have been more consistent in each one.
Yeah.
So they could somehow hook together. I think it would benefit all involved.
Yeah.
It isn't just. I'm not just speaking in favor of one particular movie. I'm saying that all of them could benefit if they were more. If they just little tweaks here and there to make them be consistent. But right now, when you're watching them, it's almost confusing. It's like going up and down, up and down.
It is the equivalent. I mean, I have never seen a Leatherface fan film on YouTube. I have seen another fan film where Leatherface was in it briefly, and then he gets killed by Jason. But I have never seen any Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan films. And even though this is the official series, like all these, 8 movies or 7 sequels, all of them feel like if we went on YouTube and typed in Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan film and then watched each one. Like, okay, that one's different, that one's a gay propaganda one, that one's a female Leatherface one, okay, that's a black and white one, okay, that's an origin one. Like, they would all be different, just like this series, but not different in a good way, like with the Psycho series. Like, this is such a terrible, inconsistent series, and it's really because they're not fans of the material. Even when they are fans, they're really not that good. Like when Tobe Hooper decided to goof off and make the second one like, oh, I can't replicate the success of the first one, so I'm just gonna be a lazy ass and make a shitty comedy movie. Like, that's stupid. And with this movie, this Leatherface movie is so different than every other film in the series. It basically doesn't even have to be a Texas Chainsaw movie. In fact, they could have created their whole new series. They could have created a whole new series around this character and his mom. He's basically like Jason Voorhees. He's not even like Leatherface. I mean, he doesn't look like Leatherface. He doesn't talk like I would imagine Leatherface would talk. He doesn't act like Leatherface at all. He doesn't even have a skin mask until the ending shot of the movie. And then he doesn't like it, so he smashes a mirror. So it's like, oh, is he going to not wear skin masks anymore until years later? Like,
Well,
it's so bad.
You forgot to say what's different about this movie. The person who we were talking about talks.
Yeah, and he's skinny, too.
For a long time at the beginning of the movie.
He's lanky and skinny like Jason Voorhees, not like Leatherface.
And I don't know if I mean, this is what I hate. We have to make up a story.
Yeah.
We have to make up some kind of scenario or a backstory because we do not get a complete picture. But he talks like anybody else all the way, like from, God, what would it be, to 3/4 of the way?
He is framed as the nice guy
And
character.
I don't know if it was the shock. Now, this is my take. I don't know if it was the shock of what he went through, like he went in some kind of psychotic breakdown. I don't know, but then he stops talking.
Yeah, he
And
did.
there's no more talking after that. And then his face. There's all this big thing. I mean, this is a big thing in all the movies. His face.
Yeah.
What about his face? I don't. That is a mystery to me. What happened? What happened? He got attacked by this sheriff guy who's after his family and all these people who escaped from the mental institution because he escaped, his brother escaped, and this girl, and who am I missing? I'm missing anybody?
What girl?
How many people? And there was a nurse with them.
There was the nurse,
Two nurses
and then
and two guys, right?
the sex fiend couple, and then the fat guy, and then the nice guy, and then 5 people.
Something like, well, it's not that the nurse escaped. They took her as a hostage. And so, because she's really young like them, and she took off her nurse's outfit. They made her wear a dress.
Well, they took her so that they could torture her and stuff.
But whatever. I can't even remember what I was going to say, but the thing is, he's completely one way, and after being abused by this, they got caught, and the sheriff did something to his, but it wasn't really clear.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention.
And it really didn't look like anything. I was looking at it, but I just don't know. I don't see anything significant. You know, and something like that, in other movies, they clearly show something, a certain specific thing happening, and then the result. But this wasn't like that at all. So both Marco and I are mystified as to what happened with his face. How did it get so messed up? Because every single movie
He
we've
beat
seen,
him up, I guess.
He had to have cut off people's faces and put them on his own because his face was so screwed up. Well, this is what I mean.
Well, it's also because he's crazy. I mean, Ed Gein had a normal person's face, and he cut up people's faces and wore them too. And so it's not really even, and so that's kind of,
maybe that's what it is.
I don't know.
Because he did have something wrong because he might have had his jaw broken.
Yeah.
Because his mother put this thing on his face. It was kind of like a brace.
She put like a BDSM leather strap brace on his face, or like a dog muzzle or something on his face.
Like I said, that he was, well, like Marco said, he's skinny.
Yeah.
He's just a kid. He's skinny, and he talked. And after the sheriff beat the crap out of him, he was like a whole new person in terms of talking, not talking. In terms of his face, he had this strap thing on, which makes me think that his jaw was broken, and that's very probable.
This is supposed to connect to the first movie and to TCM 3D. And to me, I think that it fails in that regard because this movie does not connect to them at all. It just feels like this should have been its own thing. I mean, Safi, it just shows they hired someone who doesn't care. And so they just made this movie. It has some connections to the series. And of course, people are going to watch it because it's called Leatherface. But it really should have just been its own thing. It should have been called Highway to Verna's Hell or something. I don't know. Like, it should have just been its own thing. And it's sad because it wasn't that bad. Like, the story was simple, you know. Teenagers break out of a mental asylum.
Which was precipitated by their mother.
They go on the run.
She went there. She says, I'm married now, and I have the money to get a lawyer. So
Yeah.
she had a lawyer with her. And I want to see...
She's married to Hugh Hefner, apparently.
I want to see my kid. She just kept talking about the one kid, which I didn't get that either.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let her. They said, well, I have to, they said it a different way. We'll have to investigate the matter, but, I don't think that's a good idea. And
No, they said that they'll have to have another court order to find out which person is her son because then they changed all their names to keep their identities a secret. So basically, he's just like making it take time and money out of her account so that she can't see her son.
She stays there and she starts running around looking for him, and
Yeah.
so she actually precipitated their breakup, and she didn't even know. She left. She didn't even know that all that happened.
She was good. She was literally, I'm not kidding, guys. If this movie was a Friday the 13th origin story, I would have believed it because she is so much like Jason Voorhees' mom, and then he's so much like Jason Voorhees, it's not even funny. Like, that's what I thought the whole movie. This really did not feel like it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre at all. There was a really cool part. Probably the best part of the movie was when the two people want to escape, the sheriff and the nurse. And they did a really good job at making a creepy house for the family. And they had all these bone sculptures and things. And I thought that was cool because that having like bone sculptures hanging around, that's an element that the series has kind of lost over the time because and I don't know why, because in real life, the Ed Gein true story, he had sculptures and bones and human heads and nipple belts and skin sculptures and things all over his house. It was exactly like the first Texas movie. So that's been kind of like a lost element in the series, and I was glad to see that they brought that back. And they did a really good job with making a creepy old house. And it's just too bad that we didn't get to see more of it. Like, that was a really good set. But then they try to escape, and of course, Leatherface gets to execute the sheriff. And it is a really cool moment where he comes out with his chainsaw and he saws off his hands and then he saws into his chest. It is a bloody, 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 violent kill. It will definitely be in the top 10 kills of the series. It was a fantastic kill, and it was exactly what I would want to watch a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie for if this was a real Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
Yeah.
Safi,
Okay, well, I don't know what else to say. But,
what was your favorite part? Because I just said my favorite part.
I guess my favorite part was that she started sewing his face. Was that in this movie? I mean, I'm getting the movie so mixed up.
She started sewing his face?
Well, no, never mind.
No, that was the 3D one where he was sewing his own face in the dark.
Okay, well...
Bachelor Jedediah.
I guess, I don't know. The nurse, this is a young woman. She didn't do anything wrong.
She was boring.
She was but that doesn't make her... it's too bad. I was hoping she would escape.
She could have been played by anyone.
And probably, but the thing is, she's helped them do escape. She's helped them, like, if they've had any kind of health problems. She's helped them, I don't know, fix it up or whatever, any wounds or anything. That she's been supportive and kind, and so at the end it's between her and the guy who is Leatherface now, a little skinny guy who wasn't like this at all at the beginning, and then there's the mom.
And then
she's standing there.
There's also the cook, and what happens is she escapes and she runs through the woods. They did a really good job with the woods, making this like gothic blue light forest.
Really nice.
And they chase her through the woods, and then they catch her, and she begs for Leatherface's forgiveness, but then she insults his psychopathic mother.
And he killed her.
And he kills her right then and there.
Because she should... and it's surprising because she was a nurse in a mental health facility.
Yeah.
And she should have known that...
Not to
say
do
whatever,
that.
To say some kind of inflammatory thing to somebody who's obviously gone off psychotic bender. And so he killed her, and I thought that was sad. And then the mother says, well, you had to do it because...
because you're Jason.
No, but I mean, you had to do it because she was going to hurt you or hurt our family or whatever the standard thing was. And that's kind of like the end of the movie, isn't it? It's just...
Yeah, that's the end of the movie.
As I say, these things are like, they're spilling into each other, and if they'd had these little tiny fix-its in all of them to make them more consistent. And this is the woman who supposedly, supposedly gets old and has this big inheritance and gives it to this kid.
That's the nice grandmother from the 3D one. And so that's what I wanted to talk about
sense to me
with this movie, is that even though I kind of liked it, I kind of enjoyed it a little bit. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was terrible. I mean, so many people say this is just absolutely terrible, and I just don't think that's true.
No, I don't either. Not at all.
But the problem...
I thought it was a different take. I mean, like I said, they didn't belong wherever they were put. They were not, shouldn't have been there, because there were some real crazy people there, and they were being held against their will, and to me it was like something... They were poor, they didn't have a lawyer, they couldn't defend themselves, and that's why they were there.
The problem, though, is that...
Injustice.
Remember how in the 3D one, how the rednecks burn down the house and kill all the members of the family? Well, honestly, this movie makes me want to burn down the Sawyer house. Like, I was like... after watching this movie, I'm glad those rednecks burned down their house and killed all the family members, because they're evil as hell. They're crazy. They kill all these innocent people, and they make this little boy kill him with a chainsaw. Like, this is an evil family, and I am glad that the rednecks burned down their entire house. Like, but that's bad, because that goes against what they wanted you to feel in the 3D one. And so it kind of ruins the 3D one, because it's making you think a different way now. That kind of like, what do you think about that? I mean, do you agree? Like, they're evil. They're really evil. And
Well,
so
they really, I mean, the mother, talk about a character actress.
she was good.
She really laid it on, and she really got into her roles. She did a really good job. That's why it's confusing to think that's supposed to be the same woman
Yeah.
who has this inheritance and has this huge mansion and a pool table and all these modern conveniences, and everything is spick and span and perfect, and she lives there, and then you see this woman.
She was the best
It's
part
like
of the
white
movie.
trash. She was actually very good, and she stood out because of it. In her evilness.
I also like the fat guy. You know, he actually would have been a really good Leatherface because he played the part perfectly. It's just too bad that he wasn't even Leatherface at all.
No.
So that was
so
weird.
Surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I was fooled for almost the entire movie into thinking that somebody else was him and not the real person, because it was so antithetical to the reality of the situation to have this guy who talked up a storm at the beginning of the movie until almost 3/4 of the way. I mean, he was a big chatterbox. Not really, but you know what I mean. And not like Leatherface doesn't say a word. And then I think it was the trauma or whatever he went through with the sheriff that made him turn.
I thought that the worst part of the movie was probably the sheriff and the deputy. They were very weak, one-dimensional characters. I really didn't feel for them at all. You know, the deputy was played by Iron Fist, and then the sheriff was played by, I guess he was one of the villains in Blade 2, or he was the main villain in Blade 2. And this is the first movie I've seen him in. They were both bad. Like their story was just so typical of like, we're the law and we're gonna hunt down these troublemakers, but we're really evil ourselves, and we're gonna just frame them and make them look bad because we want to torture them, and like just they. I
very stereotypical.
Yeah, they were the worst part of the movie. They were really weak, and their whole story was weak. It might not be them as actors. It might just be the writing.
Yeah.
So, Safi, oh yeah, did you like the nude scene, Safi? Did you like the sex scene?
Oh yeah.
That was funny.
Unnecessary, but it just showed this girl. The girl they showed, she's the blonde girl. She's like insane. I mean, she's one of the people who are staying at this place.
Safi.
Who's living there, who's a nut.
I almost destroyed my phone watching that scene because you're gonna sit there and tell me that a crazy girl who's like straight out of the Manson family.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell me a girl from the Manson family is gonna cover herself with a blanket during sex? Like, sorry, but that's just not believable at all. Because they had this shot where she was nude, kind of, but then, like, they had a blanket on that was covering her even more, and I just thought, what kind of stupid shit is that? Like, this is a crazy, unhinged, mentally ill, weird woman, and you're gonna tell me that she's having like this romantic sex scene with a blanket covering her where it's convenient to cover. Like, that was just so fucking retarded. I mean, do you agree with that? I mean, that's just ridiculous, Safi.
I don't care.
She was crazy.
Yeah, she was crazy. And I mean, you're talking of, it's so funny because I think, you know, when people are acting, they like to do things that are way out of their wheelhouse. They're usually like good people, and then they're really bad, and they love to be bad because it's fun for them. Because they're like, and she was like out of control bad. She and the mother were, they really acted up a storm, meaning they really did a good job.
Well, the mom was the best one, I mean, clearly. I mean, because with that little hint in that scene, that's all I needed to know that she's not really that character. She's not doing. It's not really the fullest the character could have been. I thought that was really weird. I mean, you didn't notice how weird that was, Safi? That a crazy woman would take the time to cover herself where it's most convenient with a blanket? I mean, that's just retarded, Safi. That's retarded.
I don't care. That's what I'm saying. This was.
It's fake.
Okay, well, really?
It's fake.
No kidding.
But it's just disingenuous.
Of course it is.
But
stupid.
I will say the kills were really good. I mean, the kills were very bloody, very, very good. I love the kills in this movie. Probably some of the best kills in the series. So,
I suppose so.
What would you rate this in terms of food, Safi?
Well, this is kind of a hard one, and we even talked about it. I guess Marco got a brilliant flashbulb moment.
Yeah, we discussed.
And all I could do is I bought the Skinny Pop popcorn, which for one thing, I like to get the little bags because I'm not really supposed to eat popcorn. It's not good for me. But you can get these little bags in a big bag. Looks like a little serving size. And it's just the regular Skinny Pop. It doesn't have a lot of stuff on it. You might taste it buttery, but that's it. And it's supposed to be really low fat, which I don't even need that either. I need the calories, and we've been through that, not lately, but...
Yeah, it is 100 calories a bag if you get the snack bags.
They're little snack bags. So anyway, I got this other bag. It wasn't that. It's a bag full of popcorn, and it has pepper all over it, and sea salt, and it doesn't taste that good. I'm not really... I kind of have some kind of like an allergy thing to pepper too, but it just doesn't taste that good anyway. And I feel bad because it's like a waste. I opened it up.
Oh, I'll eat it.
Well, I hope so because I think you might like it. But so anyway, to me, it's kind of like this movie was. Well, the pepper is kind of a mistake. Like, I was just mistaken the entire movie about who Leatherface was supposed to be because it was so antithetical to his character in every single other movie. Every single one of them that we've watched. I don't care who made the movie, what director, what movie theater company. It doesn't matter. He's never... you've never seen this person talk like that at all. He doesn't talk. He grunts and or moans or cries.
Well, the actor who played Leatherface in the original movie, Gunnar Hansen, he said that he went to this asylum or some sort of a place where he talked to like autistic people. Or like people who are like, would go like, and he talked to them and kind of imitated them.
Got some pointers.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Some mentally handicapped pointers.
See, Marco does this extra little bit of research, which I find very valuable and interesting, and I appreciate that, because that's what a good researcher does anyway, which I usually do, but not on this kind of stuff. But anyway, so I rated it this weird Skinny Pop, which was in a bag, not little bags, and it was pepper and sea salt. And I guess if you guys like that, you might, and that has nothing to do with the food review, but I mean, in terms of a product, you might like it. I shouldn't have. It was a mistake. So,
but really,
I made a mistake the whole movie.
Really, the crux of your review was that it's a good snack, but it's unnecessary, and that's what we decided this movie was. It was a snack. Right. It was not a full meal at all. It really, to me, I honestly would have rather have seen like just a movie where it all takes place at the house, because it was such a well-built house. It was so cool, and I would have wanted to stay there the whole movie instead of going to these really boring environments like in the greenery and stuff, the forests and shit like that. That's just boring.
Well, I'd say a good quarter of the movie is in the mental place.
Yeah, that's that. I didn't like the mental place either.
But that was their fault because they took the kids away. They took them out of the house.
Yeah.
So that's why you didn't see the house, because they took them away and they were focusing on the kids in that place. And then when mom comes there because she got remarried and she has the money to get a lawyer, that's when it starts to come back together, where they're going to go back to the house. So,
speaking of good but unnecessary snacks,
yes, let's hear yours.
I used to go to these really cool, well, kind of cool, some of them were terrible, summer camps at a specific university, and
you can say what it is.
No, I'm not. I don't want to.
Okay, well, it was a local university.
Wright State University.
In Dayton, Ohio.
Not a big deal.
No, not at all.
And so, I'm trying to just remember, like, okay, it would go from 8 to 2? Is that how long it would go?
Something like it, yeah.
Yeah. And we would have lunch at like 11 o'clock. And
you had to bring your lunch.
Yeah, and it was not really like a lunch because, like, I don't know, it was just bad. Like, eating lunch at 11 o'clock, like it's in the morning, like, ugh. And so I would sometimes bring Lunchables. And then after the camp, I would go and get a real lunch and have like a sandwich with fries and a drink, something like that. But then to the camp, I would just bring a snack
stuff,
like a Lunchable, and because Lunchables are not meals. Like one Lunchable is probably like an eighth of a real meal, or maybe like a fourth. And one of the worst Lunchables is the Nacho Lunchable, where you get a drink, which would be a Capri Sun, hopefully.
Right.
And nacho chips, nacho cheese, and salsa, and a little tiny dessert.
Like a cookie or a little candy bar.
Now, the problem is the chips are tiny. Mm-hmm. The chips are like
the size of a quarter or
a
nickel.
They're the nickel.
I've had this meal many times. That doesn't fill you up at all.
They are nickel nachos.
It is pretty good though. The salsa.
No, it's not because
I liked it.
This is my review, so F off. And the nacho cheese is cold.
Yeah.
And having cold nacho cheese with little tiny dime-sized nacho chips, ugh. And then just a little bit of salsa, and then you have a dessert and a drink. Like, what a terrible meal that would be. So it's just like this little crappy snack. It's kind of good though, because it's an okay snack, but it's not necessary. It's not worth it.
No.
Like, if I was having a Lunchable right now, I would much rather have a pizza Lunchable or a ham and cheese Lunchable.
Which is also cold.
Or my favorite Lunchable was the taco Lunchable. And people did not like that because they thought that the bean beef packet, they thought that the bean beef mixture looked like diarrhea. Oh. But I didn't care because it tasted good. It was a fantastic little snack. And I love the taco Lunchable. But the nacho Lunchable was not a good Lunchable. It was just unnecessary. It's just this little tiny thing, like just ugh. Like, just imagine you think that a kid, for a lunch, that they should have like a little nacho Lunchable, and that's a good lunch for them to have. Like, ugh.
Well, I
gross.
was just at I was at a, what would you call it, a loss as to figure out what to give them because, like you said, you couldn't really have this big extended lunch because
Yeah.
the schedule is so tight there.
Yeah.
You really didn't get much time, and there was also swimming after that, wasn't there? Well, that
On
wasn't before.
Thursdays.
Yeah, and I think on 2 days a week there's swimming. And so the schedule is very tight, so they couldn't really get a big, and just wasn't really sure what to make. We don't do that here. We don't, make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or bologna or, oh God, and then have chips and then fruit and then, we don't do that. And I guess I did that a long time ago, but even my other son who went to these camps too, I had the same problem with him, and or fortunately, I guess it's fortunate, he liked to eat beef sticks. So I got tons of beef sticks, and that would be, that's not a good meal either.
Ew.
And so, he
That's
would
not
have
a
that,
meal.
but
That's...
he would have maybe fruit or something. I can't remember, but it was just...
And you come home and have the real lunch.
Yeah, it was very problematic, and it's a shame. And I understand those chips, and they don't fill you up at all. That is such a minuscule snack. I like the reason why I like the taste of it all, but it is cold. And here you have a child who, it'd probably be good for them to have a hot meal.
And also, the reason why I say it's cold is because part of what also made these camps hard is that you were not able to microwave any food.
No.
So
that was problematic.
You could not bring you could not bring Hot Pockets or things like that because you couldn't microwave anything.
Right. So there were so many restrictions that you just had a very narrow choices.
And I remember the time I ate the nacho lunch. I only ate it one time, and I ate it in I can't remember what camp it was, but I was watching a shitty movie, The Great Mouse Detective, I think it was, and the dessert was grape nerds, and I thought, ugh, what a terrible dessert. Just another little minuscule thing, just a little tiny thing. And guess what? They started doing this bullshit for the drinks where they would give you a little bottle of gross fluoride water and a packet of gross fruit punch flavor, and you had to mix your own drink, mixed drinks. And that was what they started instead of Capri Sun. That was this movie. I remember that because that was a terrible Lunchable. Awful. Never ate it again.
Out of curiosity, if anybody knows, do they still make the nacho?
Yeah, they do.
I've seen the, the cracker sandwiches with the turkey and cheese, but I wasn't sure I think they still make the pizza meal.
Yeah.
They have there's a lot more variety of things for lunch now that they didn't have before.
Remember the dessert pizza one? That's another thing.
Hardly at all, but I do remember they had dessert and the regular
who
pizza.
Who in the hell would think that a dessert pizza Lunchable is a good lunch for a kid?
Yeah.
Okay. That's this movie. Nacho Lunchable.
Okay, and mine is Skinny Pop popcorn in a bag, not separated into little bags, with pepper and sea salt.
So, what should people do, Safi?
Well, I hope that you all can press the like button if you like this video, and be our subscriber, be one of our many subscribers. We welcome all new subscribers. We like discussions about these movies. Are you looking forward to the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie? And if you've watched any of these others, if you can, do it. And then you have a basis of comparison. How does this movie that's going to premiere, tonight at midnight or tomorrow?
Well, the problem with Netflix is that they suck. Because...
Oh, is it premiering on Netflix?
Yeah, because Netflix bought it, it's another movie where it was supposed to go to theaters, and I was really excited because I wanted to go see it in theaters. And I can't do that now, thanks to Netflix.
I
And,
see.
you know, always Netflix taking these movies out of theaters so that we can watch them at home and downgrade the cinema experience more. And
It's too bad.
the thing with Netflix, though, is that they don't premiere their movies usually at midnight. Like, you have to wait for a couple hours for them to come online. So it'll be like 6 o'clock in the morning when it's finally online. Or I don't know.
Okay.
That's what I like about HBO Max, is that they actually premiere their movies in the evening before the day they come out, so that people can watch them and enjoy them at night. So,
Okay,
goodbye,
well,
everybody.
Bye.